All right, my name is Reverend T. I am the unrefined priest, and today we're going to be returning to the topic of the new Archbishop of Canterbury, Sarah Mullally. I've got one question on this topic that nobody seems to be able to answer, so I thought maybe I'd shoot it out here as a video and somebody can answer it for me. And the question that I have is very simple. Why her? Why was she elected as the Archbishop of Canterbury? And what I'm looking for is not the first female Archbishop of Canterbury. It has to be more than that. The church is in a bad way, man. And we need somebody who has qualifications, gifts, talents, experience, or traits that says we picked her because she has these qualifications. And that is what I've not been able to find. Even in her greatest supporters, the only thing they go back to is first woman Archbishop of Canterbury. And I'm struggling with it. I really am. I'm going to play you a very short clip from CNN. This is the announcement, and I want you to see what is missing from this announcement. Here we go. Here's the announcement. Tell me what's missing. And just as a clue, it's not that she's the first female Archbishop of Canterbury. They stated that over and over and over again. But what is missing from this announcement? Here we go.
Sarah Mullally becomes the first woman to hold the role of leader of the Church of England and the spiritual leader of the worldwide Anglican Communion. She has been the Bishop of London, a senior position in the Church of England. Before her ordination, she was a senior nurse, and she takes over from Archbishop Justin Welby, who resigned last year following a damning report that accused him of failing to properly report a child abuser who has been working within the Church of England. So she comes in at a time of crisis for the Church in many ways, where there is intense scrutiny over the Church's handling over historic sex abuse. But of course, the decision to appoint a woman is an historic moment, and clearly a sign that the Church of England wants to continue to promote female leadership at a time when sometimes that is also controversial within the wider Christian church family. Sarah Mullally becomes...
All right, to say the least controversial. Look, when you watch that clip, and that is the clip that's the same thing you're going to see from everybody announcing this. No qualifications are listed really, except she was the Bishop of London. No gifts, no talents, no experience, no traits, nothing except she is the first woman, and that's what we're celebrating here. Okay, well, at some point, we are going to need somebody who has the gifts, talents, experience, and traits to be able to stand in that role. At some point, the idea that she is the first woman is going to fade away, and you're going to need a real leader. And I'm not saying she's not a real leader. It's just when nobody talks about any gifts, qualifications, talents, experience, or traits that you have to step into this role, it gives me great pause. So I just wanted to go through and share a couple of things with you that I know she's not. And then the question is, okay, if she's not these things, then what is she? And why was she elected to this position? So first of all, her education has been very minimal. That's not to say that she could not have self-educated herself outside of the typical educational institutions. But what we know is that her education is very menial. She did not graduate from Cambridge. She did not graduate from Oxford. A lot of people refer to it as a junior college seminary graduate. I'm not going to go that far, but it is very, very basic, like the very bare minimum that you need to kind of be ordained as clergy in the Church of England. Second of all, parish experience seems to be very much absent or very minimal in and of itself. Now, again, I'm not saying that that you necessarily have to have parish experience, but it is helpful, particularly if you're not somebody who is excelling in the academic realms. Parish experience is really, really helpful because you are the head, you are the archbishop over a bunch of parish priests who are doing the job. So it would be helpful if you kind of had some experience in that spot. Or at least some great education to fall back on in its place, but she doesn't have that either. She is definitely not a theologian. She is not a theologian in any regard. I don't think anybody celebrating her would confuse her with a theologian. She is not a biblical scholar in any regard. Nobody has even dared put forward the idea that she is a biblical scholar. In my estimation, and obviously this comes down to personal preference, she is a very dull and boring preacher. She is not a fantastic liturgist. There are some clergy out there that can, just by their ability to craft and create a beautiful liturgy that can inspire people towards. She doesn't have that either. She doesn't have that personality that attracts people to you immediately, like somebody like Michael Curry in the Episcopal Church had. He had that personality that just drew people towards him. So although he was not a theologian or a biblical scholar, he was a great preacher and he had that personality, which helps tremendously. So looking out at a lot of the things that she does not have, and nobody is talking about these mysterious qualifications, gifts, talents, experience, or traits that one would want to have to be the Archbishop of Canterbury, it leaves people to ask, why her? Why specifically her? And nobody has been able to answer that. I did a video on this previously, and really the only comments that I got is, you're sexist, or you just want men in there. It's time to move on. You gotta do better than that. We're talking about the Archbishop of Canterbury. We're talking about probably the second most prestigious job in the church, right under the Pope. And we're electing somebody just because she's a woman. I mean, just for me personally, that would be insulting to me. Like if I was Sarah Mullally and everybody is talking about only one thing, that I'm the first woman, and not about any of the reasons why I would be good for this job, that would be personally insulting to me. And I don't know, the fact that she hasn't really pushed back on this is a little worrisome. I do realize, there are a couple things that people bring up. People bring up that, well, she's very good administratively. But we've seen her as the Bishop of London, and administratively, she has dropped the ball in pretty big areas. She has had some controversy in her time, and a lot of it stems back to administrative errors. I know other people point out, well, she did speak out against euthanasia, so she does have the ability to speak out. Look, speaking out against euthanasia when I think most people in the world are against euthanasia is not really taking a big stand. And even the people that are for euthanasia also see the dangers in it. So this is not like she's taking a big stand against something everybody is for. She took a normal stance. And we want to congratulate her for that. As the Archbishop of Canterbury, you're going to be asked to take a stand against really big things. And I don't think she has what it takes to do it. And if you're giving me euthanasia as an example, you're going to have to do better than that. The third thing that I hear about her quite a bit is she's a very nice lady. Really? Is that what we're looking for? Is what we're looking for as the position in the Anglican Communion a very nice lady? Like, give me a grumpy old dude over a very nice lady any day of the week, because you're going to you're being put in a position where being a nice lady isn't enough. Like, we're not trying to get people as the Archbishop of Canterbury because they're nice or kind. We're trying to get them as the Archbishop of Canterbury because they know where to take a stand and when to do the right thing. And they do it lovingly. But just because she's a nice lady? Come on. And then the last thing that people bring up about her is that she's a woman, and that's it. And I have to fall on the idea because euthanasia is not enough. Her administrative experience is not enough. Her being a nice lady is not enough. I have to fall down and say that we elected her to be the Archbishop of Canterbury simply based on the fact that she's a woman. And yes, I have a problem with that. I want somebody who can stand for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want somebody who can look at the church that is failing. By the way, I can't confirm, I haven't confirmed this yet, but what I hear is that the church in London, under her leadership, has fallen an additional 30%. I want somebody who is thriving in ministry to be appointed to higher positions, not somebody who is floundering in ministry. Why are we appointing somebody whose diocese is dying? And we need somebody to gather up the church and to move them forward with a purpose and a vision that is not, I'm going to buy into every cultural idea out there. I'm going to buy into abortion for all. I'm going to buy into same-sex marriages. I'm going to buy into whatever you want to throw into that. Because she has bought into every single agenda that the world has put forward, and in it, except for euthanasia. Let me make that point very, very clear. Except for euthanasia, that's the one area where she took a stand that's not really a stand. I think the church is in a mess. I think her being a woman is certainly going to fracture the Anglican Communion. I've heard nothing but negative about that. But even if you push beyond that, I don't believe that she has the qualifications, the gifts, the talents, the experience, or the traits to stand in that spot. Now, if I'm wrong, correct me. Hit me up in the whatever they're called in the comments. Let me know why you think that this is a great appointment, and please do not tell me because she's the first woman to be elected, because there has to be much more behind her than that. Right now, she appears to me to just be a ghost in clericals, and I just think we're in a mess right now. So that's what I got for you. My name is Reverend T. I am the Unrefined Priest. If you like what I'm doing, hit that like button as well as the subscribe button, and I will catch you on the next one.